Here's a clip from our latest episode of Booked on Rock. Anthony Gomez III. He's the author of Mazzy Star's So Tonight That I Might See, part of Bloomsbury Publishing's 33 and a Third series. The album opens with that big hit, Fade Into You. That's the first track, written by Hope and David Roback. You suggest that Sandoval is singing both to the listener and to Roback. How did that change the way you heard the song?
I've always heard it, I think, because of the way it's used in film and TV. It's always used, I call it as a cheat code for romance and nostalgia. It's almost always played in kind of youthful moments or when people are looking back or people are kind of wistful for something that may or may not happen. And I thought that's a great interpretation. And I don't think there's any wrong interpretations. But I thought it was kind of interesting how two introverts could kind of be pushed into a spotlight on this song and how two introverts on this song, especially in the music video, seem constantly kind of interacting with each other. And it seemed that maybe there's a kind of other way of thinking about romance, not just for like the opposite sex, not just in the kind of traditional romantic way we think of, but as friends, as two people who actually are able to kind of be comfortable with each other. I don't think there's anything better than finding someone that you're able to be in a state of comfortable silence with, that you don't always have to kind of talk. You don't always have to kind of find something to kind of conversate about. But here are two people who are willing to kind of expose themselves in a way that they didn't really have in other people before, in a way that they hardly even had in other bands, because these are people who came from other musical groups first. And yet, what does it mean to also fade into someone that you really care about as a friend? And I thought maybe that was another kind of interesting potential way of opening the song up to a new dimension of listeners, or to at least a new kind of way of thinking.
And there are two videos, right?
Yeah,
Two videos were made. There's one, the Kevin Kerslake version. That was the second one made.
yeah.
That was a marketing decision by the label.
It's believed to pretty much be a marketing decision. If you look at the first video that they did for Fade Into You, which you could look on YouTube, it's called the international version now. But the original cut of Fade Into You was a black and white music video. And it had a couple of scenes of the band, but they were kind of covered in shadows. And when it kind of zoomed away from them, it moved into a building that's completely obfuscated. You can't quite tell what's going on. It hardly seems like the thing that would have racked up viewers on MTV back in the 90s. It's kind of almost an uninteresting piece of like visual art, something you could see at a museum and be like, huh, I wonder what that's about. But instead, we got a kind of video that's now more famous, which features the band, David Roback and Hope Sandoval in particular, out in the Southern California desert, not too far from the kind of Joshua Tree area. And in the second video, which was kind of a forced decision by Capitol Records, in a kind of terms of one critic, a kind of cynical decision to kind of push our lead woman to the front and center, to give the viewer something they thought was more interesting to look at than the black and white fuzziness of that first video. And in the second video, Mazzy Star bring on a friend, someone that they've worked with before to help them kind of create a visual image they want. And that is them kind of out in the desert, in which we kind of see them in these kind of oft repeated, oft reposted images online now. But it's a kind of interesting kind of, and one of the few times that they're ever kind of forced to do this.
What do you think that video reveals about the band? Maybe that the song alone does.
I think one of the things is one, it goes back to that kind of Mexican iconography, the desert, the kind of almost surrealist kind of landscapes that they're playing with, the kind of ways the kind of modern world is kind of crashing on the natural world, is constantly happening. But also there's these weird, interesting, slowed down scenes of David Roback and Hope Sandoval really kind of finding comfort in each other. I think David Roback is literally driving Hope Sandoval across the desert. At times, Hope Sandoval's looking at him, not, I don't think necessarily romantically, um, but longingly, happily. And there's a kind of comfort of them that I think the song doesn't necessarily evoke on its own. But by seeing them and hearing them kind of paired with that song, we see that kind of friendship and we see how close these people really are as a unit.
The video, the song itself, you put those together, you got a big hit, reached number 3 on the US Billboard Modern Rock Track chart in 1984, peaked at number 44 on Billboard's Hot 100. In 2025, the song eclipsed 1 billion plays on Spotify. 1 billion. Do you think the band ever wanted success on that level?
I don't think they ever would have predicted it. I hardly think they wanted it. I think one of the most amazing stories, if you believe it, is Fade Into You was almost an afterthought. They claim they wrote it in an afternoon where they pretty much were walking around Santa Monica, Los Angeles. They go back to the studio in LA and they toss off this song called Fade Into You. And it ends up being, of course, the lead single. It's an amazing kind of coincidence. And it's the most accessible track on the album. It's the most radio friendly track on the album. But it's also, in the words of David Roback, just a great song. I think anyone who listens to it, it doesn't matter the age, finds something that appeals to them with it. I don't think it's a coincidence it's used all the time because it just evokes so much emotion. But whether they would have predicted it and whether they wanted it, probably not on both fronts.
Listen to the full episode wherever you get your podcasts.